Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I had a job to do this morning. I wanted to change the oil in the Pony 42X, the Troy-built lawnmower. And I needed a new oil filter. Well, this would be the first oil change that I've done in it since I bought it last year and I ran it through the summer and didn't have any hours on it to speak of. It only takes about half an hour to mow the yard. And I thought, well, okay, I'll change the oil first thing in the spring. Well, it's time to change the oil in the mower. But when I went to change it, I realized it has an oil filter. Now, okay, I didn't look at it real close when I bought it. I just knew that I liked the size of the mower, I liked the price, and I liked the company. I've had a Troy-built before this. Lasted me long time, 15, 16 years. And so I knew I needed an oil filter. So I looked around and didn't find anything local. I mean, local within 4 or 5, maybe even a dozen miles. So I looked online and they were crazy money. Then shipping on top of that. $10, $12 for the filter and another $6 to ship it. Now that's not worth the trouble. Now I might have gotten it cheaper, but I wanted it this weekend. I wanted to be able to change the oil. So I thought, well, I bought the thing at Blaine's Farm and Fleet over on the south side of Kalamazoo, and that's about 12 and a half miles from here. So today I had to go to town. I had to go to the town and get some of Lydia's medicine. And I also wanted to get some stuff at the grocery store. So I had driven 8 miles. That means I only had 4 more miles to go to Blaine's. So I wheeled the truck onto the highway and headed down to Blaine's and went inside. They were very nice. They helped me find a filter for it, and that's all good. Got that done, and then I thought, well, I'm just about 3 blocks from, well, maybe 4 blocks from the Restore. Since I've already driven 12 miles, I'll go down and take a look. So I went down and looked and I found something. A little story to go along with it, but I'll tell you that after I show you what I got. This is a Black & Decker Quantum. It's a little belt sander, a little tiny thing. Belt slips over this rod and you can use it to sand into tiny little places. Works quite well. Well, I plugged it in and made sure it worked before I left the store, so I knew it was working, but it's packed full of dust. But it has this little bag filter, and that's kind of a good thing. Pretty good suction too. Now the reason I looked at this and was interested is I used to work at a company called Douglas Corporation over in Teconcha. And it was owned by Terry Hampton, and nice fella, worked there a couple of years. And we used speed control. That's cool. We use little sanders like this because the company did flame spraying. Now, you've probably seen A-Bomb's videos. If you haven't, go take a look at them. They're pretty cool. He does flame spraying on shelves and journals and things and builds them up. We did that on all kinds of stuff. We had multiple different materials that we could use. The most common and least expensive was 420 stainless. That was fed through a wire machine. It's like a wire feed welder with an air nozzle on it. The wire came out of two nozzles and arced in front of the air nozzle, and then the air nozzle blew the resulting liquid metal onto the surface. Pretty cool stuff. You could build up a surface really fast. And it stuck. You had to be real careful about it, and you had to do it a very specific way. But it was a good product. It worked well. We could use that to build up places where seals had worn down into the shaft, or a bearing had spun, or somebody had not put any oil in a machine for a while and kind of screwed things up. Big thing for us was we could do it in a heck of a hurry. If you had a machine down and you needed a bearing journal built back up again, you could bring it into Douglas Corporation and we could turn it around for you in a couple days. And factories in the area had gotten used to having Douglas Corporation, and they're still in operation last I knew, providing that emergency backup service. And we used them at a couple of places that I worked at. I was the maintenance supervisor at United Technologies Corporation and Douglas Auto Tech. No relation, just both of them guys that started it named Douglas. But anyways, one of the things that we did was we sprayed ceramic coating on sinusoidal poop pumps. Yeah, poop pump. They were used in wastewater treatment plants because you couldn't clog them. And they would pump anything. Anything that you could get to move, a sinusoidal pump would pump it. But because of the medium that they worked in, you know, poop's very abrasive. Lots of sand gets worked into it, and that just grinds those sinusoidal pumps down to the point where they didn't seal. So we'd coat them with 420 stainless, polish them down, and then we put a coating of ceramic on top of it. And the ceramic was really hard. Not very good for impact, but the sinusoidal pumps didn't have impact. They had wear. They had wear and shear. And the ceramic coating was really good for wear and shear. Didn't take point load for a damn, but wear and shear did great. So, problem we had with them, some of the little rotors were very small, and the sinusoidal pump has a shaft that's kind of like a carved Roman column. It has a screw look to it. These little sanders, although the ones we used were air operated, this is electric, and the air operated ones work really well, but they're very expensive. And also they go through belts like nobody's business. I would buy belts by the case, and it was well worth it, because you got to figure we got paid by the square inch, and so the faster we got that square inch on and polished off, the better it was. So we tried to do that as quickly as possible. Helicopter going over. Sounds like the hospital. They pass over our house when they're headed over to Battle Creek. So the little air operated ones, like I said, are very nice, but I couldn't afford one just for home, because first off, you have to have the $90 grinder, which I couldn't see spending on the few times that I'm going to be actually using the thing. And then you had the belt wear, and then you had to have an air compressor running the whole time. So it made it a little bit less convenient to use. So to get back to the story, I went to the Restore and they had this one. I plugged it in, it worked. Pack full of dust, didn't have any belts, and I thought, okay, fine, I'll see about getting a belt for it. So let's see, it's got a bag here packed full of dust. Oh, that's how you get the dust out. I can see that being a inconvenience. Because if you do like I just did, you end up dumping it all over everything. And a sander makes a lot of dust. I could see having a vacuum cleaner hooked up to this thing. Because otherwise, you're going to have to stand outside and shake this thing out every time. The way you put it back on, it's got a little clip on the back. You slide the front over the hole, over the square fitting there, then you slide that on. Works pretty good. It's got a square hole at the back, and you hold the bag like this, slide it forward, clicks, and there it is. Kind of nice. That would be nice for places that you don't want to have dust flying all over the place. But I got a feeling it's gonna anyways. Well, while I was at the restore, I also found something else. A box. It's a box of Bright Bore. And it says underneath the $2 tag, which we can take off now, gun cleaning brushes and bore polishers to clean, brighten, and protect all types of firearm bores. Well, I don't clean many guns, and the ones I do probably aren't this size. But just like Scout Crafter likes to use wire brushes to get on the inside of things to clean them, I do too. Quite often you find inside of a carburetor or inside of a manifold or something like that there's some dirt and rust and things. This will be quite handy for doing that. It's got a little screw thread on the end for a mount. I don't know what thread it is, but maybe we can make up some extensions for that, and that would be handy. So that's a nice thing to have. So not only a sander, I now have a bunch of little wire brushes. I use a lot of wire brushes. As soon as this thing made noise, I knew I was going to buy it. So I pulled $10 out of my pocket, paid $2 for the bore brushes, and $10 for this, and it came. After I bought this, I said, well, I need some belts. So I looked, and I didn't see anybody. I had my phone with me, and I, of course, looked. And this takes a 1/2 inch by 18 inch sanding belt. And I thought, I remember seeing one of those at Harbor Freight. Now, I haven't tried this yet. This will be my first shot at it. I'm going to unplug this while I put the belt on. Let's see how it goes. There's 4 different belts in this pack. Oh, 4 different grits. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 belts. This is an 80 grit belt. Sanding belts have a directional arrow. That tells you which way the splice runs over the joints easiest. And this one tells me that it's supposed to go this way. And look at that. Now, before I do this, I'm going to take that little guard off so I can look inside this. Pay on the inside before I put power to it. I'm also going to take the air hose and blow it out. Straight. And I'm going to have to fiddle with it. Well, somebody did something. Will it not run without the bag on it? Nope. Uh-oh. I have blown something around in there that it didn't like. I either got dirt in the brushes or something happened and it has come undone. Well, we take this 15-minute video and turn it into a much longer one. We'll go. This screwdriver hangs in the basement entrance. It is my favorite screwdriver because it has every possible bit that I use, either in the handle or in the rack in the stairway to the basement. Very handy. And because they're the replaceable bits, they're the hardened ones that if you pull on them too hard they snap, but you just replace them. So they put up with quite a bit of abuse. Now let's see if we can get this thing opened up. Well, there's that. Oh, it is seriously dusty. Seriously dusty. Wouldn't take much to blow some dust into that switch and make it not work. I'm going to try and be very careful, make sure that this is not going to pop out. I should be able to start the motor with that cover off, as long as I don't stick my fingers in anywhere they don't belong. Well, that's not it. Okay. Time to go get a meter. Now when you have a situation where something ran and now it doesn't, that means that power is interrupted someplace. And what you do, you start looking for where the power is, and then find out where the power isn't. Okay, we got power in the cord. Everything's working there. Scared it. It's working now. More than likely, I had a piece of dust somewhere, and when I flipped the switch, the dust moved out of where it shouldn't be, and we're okay. Well, minor distraction, but worthwhile effort. Didn't even have to get out the meter. Well, never hurts to check. For safe operation, read instruction manual. I don't have one. We're working with old Sneelock's tried and true method of verifying equipment, which is carefully disassemble it, look and see what went wrong. There we go. Put that little screw in there. Well, you got to see what's inside of it. Kind of a nice benefit. And I got to clean all the dust out of it. But I'm going to have to pay close attention to it if it's vulnerable to dust. That's not a good thing for a sander. Now, it could be that there's a broken wire in there and I just moved the wire around to the point where it touched again. I have run into that. And we'll see that later. If that becomes a problem, it'll show up again and again. Now the thing I was concerned about was whether it was going to track or not. It appears to be tracking pretty good. Okay, we've got that problem solved. I'll slide the filter bag back on. And let's try sanding something. Let's try sanding. There, that's got a good grip on it. Let's see what it does. I would say that's pretty darn good. Knife maker might be able to use that to make a fillet in a knife. Wood cuts a lot easier than steel, but still, that little roller does a good job. Now these sanding belts, they're not going to hold up. I can see that that's starting to come apart right there already. But these are Harbor Freight. And maybe it's worth it. To pay a little extra and get a really good one. Not too bad. I think if I was going to be doing a lot of work with it, I'd want to have some kind of a dust collector on it, maybe a vacuum cleaner or something. This little thing does quite a bit, gets most of it, but like I said, there's always going to be a little bit escaping past that chute. But I got to tell you, I'm pleased with what I got. This little thing, and you watched me put the belt on, and I did it the hard way. If you had the manual, I'm sure it would say to turn this like that, turn this little yellow knob, and then the belt slides right off. Just like that. There's a little arrow right there on the knob and a little arrow on the body. You turn it so that the two are lined up and it's released. You turn it like that and this is reduced or retracted, and you can slide the belt down into the groove. Make sure you have the thing unplugged while you're doing this. This is unplugged right now for me. I want to look and make sure I got that arrow going the right direction. Well, evidently, the arrow got wiped out. I can't tell. There it is. Okay, so this goes this direction, like that. Looks like the belt is slipping on the drive drum. Probably when I was doing the deep dig with just the point. Now, turn that back up. Belt's tight and away we go. Acts like there's a problem with the switch. If you roll it around and move it a bunch, it stops working. But I'll bet it's because I blew the dust out of it and I knocked dust loose inside the switch. When I rotate it, I'm getting the dust back into things where they're not supposed to be. Well, I wanted to talk about the tracking. This little knob should cause the belt to move back and forth on the drum. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's running off to this side. It's hanging off of that side a little bit, and this side of the roller is exposed. So I crank that back. Now it's running on the center of the roller. Now I'm going to look this up online and see if I can find a manual for it. I bet it takes some kind of lubrication. Not sure, but I bet it does. And I'd like to know where it goes. Especially after something's been sitting for a long time. It's more than likely going to need a little bit of help. But in the meantime, if you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.